Okay, I already have some people dropping their answers. I already have my answers coming in. Somebody chose B. It was them that fought the Civil War. Okay, let's see. You can keep your answers coming, please. I have B. Oh, I have B. Okay. B. Them. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So let's try to see which is right. I have, it was Dash that fought the Civil War. It was Dash that fought the Civil War. I have they, I have them, I have themselves, and I have their selves. Now, when you have a question like this, when you have your question starting with it is or it was, when you have your question starting with it is or it was, then there are some things to be done in order for you to pick your answers. There are some things there are some things you should do in order to pick your words, to pick your answers. So let's look at those things now. Here now, if you have it was or it is starting your question, the first thing you should do is remove this phrase, it was. Remove it. Remove this from the sentence so that this question now reads, Dash that fought the Civil War. Dash that fought the Civil War. Remember, when you have your question starting with it is or it was, for you to pick your answer, there is something you should do. The first is to eradicate the it is or it was. In this case, what you have here is it was, not it is. So eradicate this it was. After doing that, the next thing is to remove the relative pronoun. The next thing is to remove the relative pronoun. Who can tell me the relative pronoun we have in this question? Who can tell me the relative pronoun we have in this question?
That.
That. The relative pronoun you have in this question is that. The relative pronoun you have in this question is what? That. So now you are going to remove that. You are going to remove what? That too. When we remove that here now, what you have left here is Dash fought the Civil War. Dash fought the Civil War. Dash fought the Civil War. Now it is more easier for you to pick your answer. I have they, I have them, I have themselves, and I have themselves. Now, when you look at this, there is an action here, which is fought. And what you need to do here is fix a subject that is the performer of that action. If you look at these options properly, option B, let's start from option V. Option D is a reflexive pronoun. Option C also is a reflexive pronoun. So these two options are out of it. Now let's look at they and them. They and them. Which one of these two indicate subject? Which one of the two, they and them, which of these two function as a subject? Is it they or them? I am asking the question now. Which one of these two options left here is in the subjective form? Is it they or them? They, good job, they. So
They.
that this question now
They.
reads was, they fought the Civil War, not them. It was they that fought the Civil War. Remember, the first thing to do is when you have a question starting with it is or it was, the first thing to do is eradicate that it is or it was. In this case now, what we have here is it was and it is. So cancel it out. Then the next thing is to check out for the relative pronoun there. The relative pronoun is that. The relative pronoun here is that. We remove that also, and we are left with dash fought the civil war. Dash fought the civil war. Now, in this sense, you have fought, which is an action, and the action is on a particular object, which is civil war. The action of fighting was on the civil war, and you need somebody that performed the action. In that case, you are looking for the subject. Now, I said we will not be using this because this is a reflexive pronoun, and this is not reflecting anything here. This also is cancelled out because it is a reflective pronoun suitable in this gap. We're now left with a. In this case, we need a subjective pronoun. We need a subjective pronoun. That is the pronoun that can act as a subject. Now, they is the right one and not them, because them is in the objective case. This object and not subject. And that is what makes. Please mute yourself. Adebimpe Rakib, I think. Mute yourself. Thank you. In this case now, they is the right option. It was they. So now let's bring back this. Removing those things is just for you to be able to pick the right answer, you know. Second question. It is dash that the dog barks at every time. For the options, I have A, she, B, her, C, herself. It is dash. And as let me have your answer in the comments or in the chat box. Let me have your answers before I explain what the right answer should be. Let's see if anyone is going to pick the right answer. Okay, I have options, option B, option B, R. Okay, let's see. Now, looking at this question, we have, it is dash that the dog barks at every time. It is dash that the dog barks at every time. I have she, I have her, I have herself. This sentence is called a cleft sentence. We call this type of sentence a cleft sentence. That is the sentence that is divided into two parts. The sentence that is divided into two parts from the word cleft. Cleft means split, to split something. So when we say cleft sentence, we mean split sentence. A sentence that is divided into two parts. And this division, it gives special emphasis to one part. Given special emphasis to what? To one part. Now, you have it in this format. Plus is slash was. So you can have it to be it is or it was. Plus the emphasized part. Plus that. Plus the rest of the sentence. Now, in your cleft sentence, it is going to what? Emphasize. It is going to emphasize something. And when you see a cleft sentence, what should follow it is the pronoun that should follow it should be a pronoun in the subjective case. Now, the emphasized part is going to be a noun or a pronoun. So in this case now, in your emphasized part, you can have it to be a noun or a pronoun. Now, this noun or pronoun that is in the emphasized part should be in the subjective case. Let's analyze our answers now. If you have herself, herself is not a subject. It is a reflexive pronoun. So this one is out. Option B says her. Her is not in the subjective case. Rather, it is in the objective case. So option B is also wrong. And what we have left here is option A, and that makes option A to be the correct option. Option A is the correct option because this cleft sentence, it follows this particular order. It plus is or was plus the noun plus pronoun, that is the emphasized part, and that plus the rest of the sentence. And I said this emphasized part should be in the word subjective case. It should be in the subjective case. That is, it should be a subject in the sentence. Looking at those three options now, the only one that acts as a subject is she. Now, let's come back to the first rule of eradicating and trying to fill in what we have in the option into the gap. The first rule says that you should eradicate the it is and that. And now you have what you have left as the other part of the sentences. Dash the dog barks at every time. Now you have it is dash that the dog barks at every time. But after removing the it is and that, you have dash the dog barks at every time. Now you can start filling in your options into the words, into the gap. You have the first one you have she, the dog barks at every time. But for this, you have to rephrase it. You have to rephrase it because you can't have anything like she, the dog's bark at every time. So that is why you bring in the second The second one, we state that when you have a cleft sentence, it follows this what? This formation. When you have a cleft sentence, it follows this formation of it plus is slash was plus the emphasized part, which should be the noun or pronoun, and in the subjective case, plus that plus the rest of the sentence. And that is what makes she correct here. It is she that the dog barks at every time. Not it is her that the dog barks at every time. Neither it is herself. It is she that the dog barks at. Hello, Lena. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Sorry for the on and off. I don't know. Everything is just kind of wrong this afternoon. All right, so let's see this question. Can you all see my screen, please? Can you see my screen? Okay. Okay. I have the question. He did not like Dash leaving the class early. He did not like Dash leaving the class early. He did not like Dash leaving the class early. For my options, I have we, I have us, I have our, I have ourselves, and I have ourselves. Kindly pick your options. Let me see if anyone is going to pick the right option. He did not like us leaving the class early. Us. Okay, let's keep it coming. Our. Okay, us, our. Okay, let's see who is right. Now I have it. He did not like Dash leaving the class early. Now, when you have a question like this, you have leaving. Let's start from leaving. Leaving here is a gerund. When we say gerund are verbs that ends with ing. When you have a verb that ends in ing, you call them gerund. You can also call gerund verbal nouns. Gerunds are nouns that end with ing that also act as a noun. The verb, it is a verb, fine, but it ends in ing and it acts as a noun. Now, when you have a gerund, when you have a pronoun coming before a gerund, you can see that my options now, they are all pronouns. You have the personal pronoun and you have the reflexive pronouns in the option. So all my options are what are on pronouns. When you have a gerund, what you should use before it, and you have to fill it in with a pronoun. The gap you have before it, you have to fill it in with a pronoun. The pronoun you should use should be a possessive pronoun. When you have a gap before your gerund, what do I mean by gerund? Gerund is a verb that ends in ing and acts as a noun. Not all verbs that end with ing are gerunds. But when you have a verb that ends with ing and also acts as a noun, such a verb is called what? Gerund. When you have a verb with ing that acts like a noun, such a verb is called what? Gerund. Now I have a gap before my gerund. He did not like Dash leaving the class early. What should be in this gap should be a possessive pronoun. What should be in this gap should be what? A possessive pronoun. Now I have the first option, we. We is not a possessive pronoun, rather, we is a personal pronoun. So I would leave this out, cross this out. I have us. Us is not a possessive pronoun too. Rather, it is a personal pronoun. Ourselves is a reflexive pronoun. You cancel it out. Our space selves. This one is not even right. So you remove this. What you have left is what? Is our. Our. It did not like our leaving the class early. It's not that it did not like us leaving the class. No. It does not like the act of leaving the class early. What it detests is the act of the students leaving the class early. Not that it detests the act of it detects the act of the students leaving the class early. It does not detect the students themselves. So we have, it did not like our leaving the class early. I would explain this one more time. When you have a gerund, what do I mean by a gerund? Gerunds are verbal noun. When I say verbal noun, I mean nouns, I mean verbs that end with what? ing and act as a noun. If it doesn't act as a noun, it is not a gerund. If it does not act like a noun, do not call it a gerund. Gerund is a verb that acts as a noun and ends with ing. When you have a gap before such gerund and you have pronouns as your option, the pronoun you should pick should be the possessive pronoun. So possessive pronoun are what you use with gerund. Possessive pronoun are what you use with what? Gerund, not just any other pronoun. What you use with gerund is a possessive pronoun. Now, if your verb is not acting as a noun and ends with ing, it is just a present participle verb. It is not acting as a noun. It is a verb that ends with ing. Then it is a present participle verb. For example, Hello. What is it?